Hello and welcome to today's episode of Through a Trauma-Informed Lens, Soma, Psyche and Soul. I'm Aneta Itchak and I'm your host here. Today I want to celebrate something really remarkable with you. Today we are celebrating 100 episodes of the show. For me, this is a big milestone, and I can't quite believe that we are here. So before I even go any further, I want to acknowledge that without your support, without you tuning in and watching or listening, it wouldn't have been possible. So I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for being part of this community, for taking your valuable time to listen and watch and participate. And I always really love any comments and any feedback that I receive from you. They really help me to understand that you are enjoying it and what you are enjoying, what you'd like more of on the show, what subject and topics you want me to cover. So please keep them coming and know that I am very grateful for it. So when I started this show in September 2023, I remember my coach at the time saying that she will never go on any podcast or any show that had less than 20 episodes, because in her experience, many people start a podcast or a show and they don't continue with it. And I remember thinking at the time, I need to make it happen. I need to go past the 20 shows. And when I did manage to do that, and I did do it within that first quarter of between September and the end of December 2023, I was very pleased with myself. But the reality is that doing something long term requires you to commit to it. And recording a podcast, a weekly podcast or a weekly show, whether it's only audio or whether it's video, takes a lot of energy, a lot of focus, and a lot of commitment. And looking back today on my experience of recording those 100 episodes, there are certain things that I want to share with you, because I know that within my community, within the community of female practitioners who are doing amazing work within their own communities, this question around the podcast or around the show, this consistent creation of value-led content and how you can do it. This question comes up a lot. So I want to share with you what I learned over the last just under 2 years of recording 100 episodes, and a mix of my own episodes where there is just me, like today, talking and sharing, and some really amazing interviews that I had the pleasure of recording, and also running 2 virtual summits, which again were interviews with wonderful practitioners. I want to share with you what I learned. Some of the stuff that you might be questioning and some of the obstacles that you might be coming up against if you are considering having something like this, like a podcast or a show, to share your work and to share your wisdom and lived experience. So the first thing that I really want to share with you is that in order to do something long term, whether it is a podcast or a show, or whether it's for audio or video, or whether it is running some courses, or really having a business, the first thing that you need to cultivate is the growth mindset. And what do I mean by that? It's about really allowing yourself to acknowledge that you don't know what the hell you're doing. It is to welcome your imposter part as it comes up. It is to welcome your perfectionist part that comes up every time you're creating, and welcome all of it. Welcome uncertainty. Welcome that acknowledgement that you don't know all the answers to all the questions that you have, that your stuff might be imperfect, that there is a possibility that you will fail, that there is a possibility that you will make mistakes, that you're gonna be imperfect, that you are going to fail at times, that really ultimately that there are two things that you need to believe. One is this saying that done is better than perfect. And the other one is that deep belief and trust in yourself that you might not know all the answers, but you can work it out. There's belief in yourself. I don't know, but I can learn. I can learn. I can work it out. I can solve the problems as they come up. I can reach out to people and they might say yes or no, that they want to speak to me or they don't want to speak to me. I can keep moving forward with the understanding that some of the episodes are going to be really amazing and people are going to really connect with them and give you lots of feedback. And some of the episodes are going to be all right. And that's okay. Because when I started this podcast, the show, there were no guarantees. I didn't know whether I will go past 20 episodes. I was determined to have 20 episodes because of what my coach said. But I didn't know whether people would respond to it well, whether they would enjoy it, or whether I would have like 3 people subscribe to my podcast and on my show, and that's it. And here I am, almost 2 years later, with 100 episodes celebrating, creating this forward movement, allowing myself to be imperfect, allowing myself to cultivate the growth mindset, allowing for mistakes, allowing for those imperfections, means that thousands of people listened to my podcast and my show. It means that I share something that is free and freely available to everybody, because I understand that signing up for my training certification, the business containers that I run, might be not something that everybody can sign up and participate in right now. This show allows me to share freely and openly from my heart with everyone who is interested and who wants to watch or listen. It fulfills these deeper values that I have about accessibility and sharing freely from my heart. And it allowed me to receive some of the most amazing feedback from my community. One of the women within my community said that listening to those episodes is like each one is a mini training. Coming to that show, that episode, and listening to it and taking something from it, which is one of the most amazing feedback that you can get when you create something like this. So the important thing in here to acknowledge is the role of the nervous system and capacity within this kind of work. So every time we step outside of our comfort zone, and show up in a different way, in a way that is really aligned with our values, with our priorities, with our deeper message and the things that we want to share with our communities and the world, it expands our nervous system capacity, and it allows us to see ourselves in a slightly different way. And the accumulative impact is absolutely amazing. It just works so beautifully. It allows us to grow. It allows us to learn and reflect on that growth. It allows us to create a momentum. It allows us to really shift our self-concept into knowing that we can do this. Like after recording 100 episodes, I know I can do this. I know I can go on other people's podcasts and talk about what's important to me. I know that I can communicate really well. I know that I can share the wisdom and the learning from our training certification and from other programs. I know that I've talked about things in different ways, and I know what people understand and what questions people have. And that's a really beautiful place to be at. So the other thing that I wanted to share with you is this bit about consistency, connection, and walking your own path. One of the things that I really learned through recording these 100 episodes is that tuning into what's true for me and tuning into my own values, tuning into how I love to work, what works for my community, what works within my training certification and the business programs is the most important thing. So I could have done a lot of research and talk about stuff that I see is trending in podcasts or on YouTube. Maybe I would have got more followers or subscribers. Maybe I would have got more comments, but it wouldn't have been aligned with what's most important to me, who I am as a person, who I am as a coach and an educator and a trainer. It wouldn't have been connected with my heart and with what I value most. And walking my own path allowed me to really develop the language that I'm using. It allowed me to develop the messaging and tune in more to what's important. This connection with my own truth, this connection with what's really most important for my clients and my students allowed me to connect with and share from my soul and from my heart, rather than pushing and trying to fabricate something and coming from this space of proving my worth. I allowed myself to step back and just share from that connected space. The same way that I share and connect from that space in my trauma-informed somatic teacher and coach for women training certification, or in the embodied business mandala mentorship, or how I created the new program, which is 90-day immersion, the summer program. When we share from this space, we share with integrity, we walk our talk, and we connect with others from that space. And I think this is a bit that can be so misaligned, and I've seen people trying to do it just to get the clicks, trying to get the subscribers, trying to get followers, and it never really works because it's so misaligned. And even if it works, it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel connected, because it's not really truly you. So if you are going to do a podcast, or if you are going to do this kind of show, make sure that you show up from this authentic space, that you show up from a space that is you, rather than showing from a space who you think that you should be. Because that's unsustainable. You're going to give up really quickly. The other thing that I wanted to share in here that I learned is that it might change, like allowing yourself to create something that is right for you at this moment. So when I started the show, it was with the intention of it being audio only. And then as I moved through different episodes, there were some episodes where I felt that I wanted to record as video as well. And up to, I would say, about a month or couple of months ago, I wanted to keep it that way. It's because that's what I had capacity for. That's what felt like I needed to do, because I could roll in on a weekly basis in my bathrobe with a cup of tea, with my hair undone, no preparation in the way that I had to look, and record a podcast. And that was fine. That was really good. That was what I needed for a long time. Because in addition to doing this podcast, obviously I run a lot of online trainings where I have to be on camera, where I connect with people, and there is a lot of interaction, a lot of connection, a lot of being seen that goes both ways. But recently something shifted, and I realized that actually I have more capacity now to record it as a video, to share it as a podcast through Spotify and iTunes, and then also share it as a video on YouTube. Suddenly I had more capacity to do that. And it didn't feel like pushing. It didn't feel like striving. It just felt like a natural next step. And it felt enjoyable. It felt like, yeah, this is really exciting. I'm really happy to take this next step, to do it slightly differently, to embrace it in a different way. So allowing yourself to move with the flow of what you need. And I'm aware that in the future, there might be time that I will need to step back and go into audio only again, because life is unpredictable. Life is messy. You can't control life. You can only respond to life. There are things that we can control, of course, but understanding that we can fight against life and what's happening, or we can adjust to it and keep moving forward in the best way that we can, and in a way that brings us joy and gratitude and connection. The last thing that I wanted to share with you is that sometimes we need support. So you might not know that I wanted to start a podcast a year. Is it a year? 6 months before I actually launched my podcast. I even did some interviews with people, but ultimately I was hitting a wall. And that wall was that I just could not move past how to sort it out on Spotify. And I'm not bad with tech. I'm actually quite good with tech. I've done stuff on my own for a very long time. I learned the software. I'm really able to learn all of that kind of stuff. But for some reason, I just could not do it. And maybe it is because I was creating new programs and I was creating lots of resources for my training. I just didn't have capacity. And so once I realized that I can record the podcast, I can show up, I can prepare, I can record, But what I needed support with was tech stuff behind the scenes of releasing and then organizing it all. Then I allowed myself to work with a VA to do this part. Now I can do it, and I have done it. I learned the tech, but I still get that support on a regular basis. So now there is a mix. Some of the shows I do myself, and most of the shows there is behind the scenes somebody that does that support for me, that piece of work for me. If you feel like you want to do something and you hit a wall again and again, acknowledging that actually in order to move forward, I need some kind of support, whether it is around creating a show, whether it is around setting some kind of platform, creating a website, creating course, or growing your business, it's really good to get that support and working with somebody who knows how to do it, because it will save you so much time. And so celebrating 100 episodes is a big milestone for me. I really want to say thank you to all of you for sharing this journey with me, for taking your precious time to listen to the podcast or watching it on YouTube, and to giving me such wonderful feedback that allows me to keep doing it, because this is about that shared journey. This is about connection. This is about learning together and moving together and creating something that allows us to share our voices, our points of view, our unique expression, our unique understanding. If you haven't watched or listened to the conversations that I had with so many amazing guests, and those guests come from different places. Some of those guests come from yoga community, some of those guests come from coaching community or healing community. Some of those guests come from participating in my training certifications, whether it is trauma-informed somatic teacher and coach for women, or whether it is trauma-informed yoga and embodied resilience teacher trainings. Some of them are the practitioners that I had the pleasure collaborating with, who do the kind of work that I absolutely love. So from my heart, again, thank you so much to all of you. And I want you to know that I absolutely loved sharing this journey with you. And moving forward, I know that I love doing this so much that I will continue this work. How long? I don't know, because as always, there are no guarantees. And life is messy. Things can change in my life, but my intention is to continue having those conversations with guests, and I've got some great interviews coming up. I want to continue sharing the learning from our training certifications, from the conversations that I have with my clients, and just deepening this message and continuing sharing the conversations here in this space. So as always, I want to invite you to reach out with feedback, reach out with reflections. If you haven't subscribed, but you are listening to the podcast or you're watching on the YouTube, please subscribe. Let's grow those channels and let's make this show available to more people. Thank you again for today. Thank you for celebrating with me, and I wish you all the best for now.